Oh my gosh, you guys, this is the greatest thing ever. This is the N-Strike Elite Nerf Cam ECS-12, and my enthusiasm is going to take a nosedive from there. If you haven't already seen a bunch of reviews on this blaster, this is another one, but this is going to go in a little more detail as to starting off as a review on this blaster and essentially steer you away from getting it in the first place, unless you can get it for a killer deal, like I did. Anyway, yeah, it's a camera blaster, if you couldn't already tell that from the name. They spent about as much time on figuring out the name for this blaster as they did figuring out a good camera system on this. Because the camera system on this is garbage. There's a lens up here, there's a screen back here, and some buttons. There's a nice little sunshade here that you can tilt and all that stuff and remove. And yeah, so you press record on this side. If you're left-handed, you're kind of SOL unless you try and use your other finger on the other side there, but it's a great spot for your thumb. You start recording your battles. You can record them on this 4GB Toshiba SD card that it comes with. Pops in and out nicely there. And then you go review the footage and you realize how much garbage the footage really is. Which is supposedly the whole selling point of this blaster. Other than the range, it says 90 feet on the box. Not so. Even a 75-foot range claim on a N-Strike Elite Strife is outshooting this 90-foot range Cam ECS. So if you thought range was a reason to kind of push you over the edge, take another step back and consider something else. Anyway, this is essentially, speaking of the Strife, just that. Same kind of operation. Accelerated trigger here, although when you let go of the accelerated trigger, the engine's cut out like the motors. So like this, like your mag is out or like a jam door is open, and that feature is kind of nice that it just cuts out instead of just slowly winding down, so the noise isn't quite as long. It is a little bit quieter than most flywheels because there's just more plastic around it, a little more sound deadening between you and those motors. There's a rail up here. You can put a foregrip or something on the front, but I actually prefer the grip here. It is actually a comfortable blaster to use, don't get me wrong. You can put another accessory up here like a scope or something, but at the end of the day, not a whole lot really looks good up here. The blaster ends up looking kind of like Howard the Duck, which is super appealing. Not to bash Howard the Duck, but I did. 4 batteries over here for the blaster, 4 batteries over here for the worthless camera system. The stock back here is fixed position. It is actually comfortable, but it is about 1 click short of being full out on like a Raider stock, like those adjustable ones. But it's still comfortable, a little closer, but just comfortable. Then the grip itself, everything about this blaster ergonomically works out fine. It's just the camera's garbage. The quality, the frame rate, there's all kinds of reviews on that. It stinks. The sound quality in this is even worse. I think it's almost worse than just the bad frame rates on it, because you brilliantly put a microphone right next to one of the most annoying sounds in a Nerf blaster, which is the flywheels revving up. And then you also have the clunky sounds of the blaster moving. Take a listen. Alright, so I'm going to start recording on this one and on the iPhone. Put them both on the same blaster, not the Strife in this case, and see how noise levels are from one to the other. You know what? My friend has a corgi. Your friend has a corgi? That's awesome. So I had taken this blaster and put the Tactical Mission app iOS device thing on it and put my trusty iPhone. So as long as you own an iPhone or an iPod or something like that, Nerf makes a clip-on system that'll not only work on the Strife, but any blaster you have. Now, you can argue, oh, I don't have an iPhone, I have an Android. Well, you can make different things for that too. There's a bunch of great tutorials out there on how to make camera blasters for this, essentially. But if you just flat out don't have a camera, this is still a bad choice, because the technology that is in the top part of this blaster is about as good as some of the worst older camera phones I've had the pleasure of avoiding. So you can still go out in the market and get a cheap camera that'll do better footage and not have all that whiny sounds and clunking and awful garbage that you get in the recording from the Cam ECS-12. So if you're still thinking about buying one of these, you have a hearing problem. That might be from listening to the videos of this thing's sound recording quality. It is comfortable. If you can pick it up for about 20 or 30 bucks, trade in books for that. People don't know what books are anymore. Then, you know, it's still not a bad deal because it is a nice rifle style blaster. You can just ignore that. It has some heft to it, but I kind of like that. Personal preference. But outside of that, if you're pulling full retail for this, my condolences. If you're a grandparent or parent buying this blaster for your kid, if you already have them on a cell phone plan like all the 5-year-olds in the neighborhood already do, then just get them that little tactical mission app thing. Or better yet, go to your kids' games and record it for them. Way cooler. Because the whole running with the gun down, first-person shooter stuff, whatever. Anyway, end story. Avoid this unless it's cheap. And then still seriously reconsider.
Did you find the jolt? Yeah. You found the jolt? Ooh, she's still